Hi, welcome to English 1010, Fall Semester 2010, for the week of November 28th through December 4th. In this week's lecture, we're going to be talking specifically about some of the things that you need to keep in mind and do for Paper 4. First of all, before we get started, I would like to note that we have a couple of due date changes. I have been very under the weather all of the Thanksgiving holiday and have not graded, have not looked at papers or anything like that. I'm hoping to get caught up in the next day or two. But I really want you to have my feedback on your summaries before you turn in your annotated bibliographies, because the feedback that I provide for you in your summaries should help give you ideas on what you need to include or maybe not include in the summaries on your annotated bibliography. So therefore, your annotated bibliography is not due this Wednesday, December 1st. Instead, you'll turn your annotated bibliographies in on Saturday, December 4th. So they're not due December 1st, Wednesday. They are due Saturday, December 4th to the Dropbox. Remember, for your annotated bibliography, you're going to include 6 sources, no more, no less, but 6 sources that are directly connected to the topic that Paper 4 is going to be about. Remember that Paper 4 is going to be a 4 to 5 page persuasive essay about an issue that's affecting one of the communities that you belong to. So it could be your school community, your home community, your church community, the community in which you live, but it has to be a community to which you are personally invested. Many of you are writing about the school districts in your community. Some of you are writing about the drug problems in your community. So this is good. You guys have really got some nice ideas out there. So remember, for Paper 4, you're going to include minimally 3 sources. So why, if your paper only requires you 3 sources, do you have to turn in an annotated bibliography with 6 sources? Well, if we've talked about in our past couple of lectures, just because you find an article that seems like it's perfect doesn't necessarily mean it is perfect for the paper that you're writing. Research takes time, and sometimes you have to look for many resources before you can kind of narrow down what sources will fit specifically into your paper. Now, you may turn in the annotated bibliography next Saturday with your 6 sources, but you might find that later in the week you come across sources that might actually work out better in your paper. That's fine. You do not necessarily have to include the sources that are on your annotated bibliography in your final paper. So again, this is going to be a 4 to 5 page persuasive essay. It's going to be due on Tuesday, let me double check this, on Tuesday, December 14th to the Dropbox. If that date changes, I'll let you know, but I'm pretty sure that that's when our final exam date is. So you will turn your final paper into the Dropbox on Tuesday, December 14th. Many of you are probably finding local sources, maybe from your local newspapers, maybe from the local news. Those are great sources. It's okay to find a source on a larger level, and what I mean by that is, let's say you're writing about teen pregnancy in Shelby County. Well, in order to put the teen pregnancy rate in Shelby County in perspective, you may want to discuss the overall national teen pregnancy rate across the country. So that would be an okay source to use in your paper to help set up the larger issue and then show how the issue you're discussing in your community connects to or fits into that larger issue. So that's Paper 4. It's very important to note that in Paper 4 you cannot use first person. So even though you're writing about a community that you belong to, you need to make sure you do not use first person. So no I, me, we, our, or us. Additionally, you want to avoid using second person you. When you use second person you tend to make assumptions about your reader, or you assume that your reader knows as much about an issue that you do. You need to keep in mind that even though you're writing about an issue that affects your own community, not all of us are from your community. We actually have people who are scattered pretty far across. We have a student who is taking courses in Nepal, which is on the other side of the world. So make sure that you clearly set up for your reader what the issue is, how it affects your community, and that you identify your community. Okay. For your annotated bibliographies, I want to review these just a little bit. And again, these are not due this week. They're not due on Wednesday, December 1st, but they're going to be due on Saturday, November 4th to the Dropbox. And remember, an annotated bibliography is a list of sources. It's the books, the journals, the websites, etc. that you have been looking at that are connected to your source. When I ask you to put together a works cited page, essentially what I'm asking you to do is the first part of an annotated bibliography. On your works cited page, you include author, title, publication information, and so that's the information that you're going to include as the bibliography part of your annotated bibliography. The annotation part of an annotated bibliography is essentially a summary and or evaluation of the source at hand. In last week's lecture, we reviewed what an annotated bibliography was and what the different points were, or the different points are of that type of assignment. Additionally, I included under last week's lecture information a sample annotated bibliography that shows you exactly how you need to set up this assignment. It's one of the rare assignments for my class that can be set up single-spaced, but that makes it easier for me to go through the annotations. But you'll include the works cited information, and then you're going to summarize the source. Now remember, a summary is essentially you're looking at the main arguments and what was the point of the book or the article, what topics were covered. Essentially, if somebody asked you what that article or book is about, what would you say? Your summary is going to be short. It's only going to be 3 or 4 sentences long. What you're also going to include with your summary is an assessment of that source. So it's helpful to evaluate the sources that you use. You want to ask yourself, was this useful information? How does it compare with the other sources that you've looked at? Is the information reliable? Is it biased? Or is it objective? And what is the goal of this source? And this part of your summary is only going to be 1 to 2 sentences long. And then finally, you're going to include, and this is all one paragraph. This is all one paragraph for each of your 6 sources. But you're going to do a reflection. So once you've summarized and assessed your source, you need to ask how it fits into your research. Was this source helpful to you? How does it help shape your argument? And how will you use this source in your paper? Has it changed how you think about your topic? And your reflections will only be 1 to 2 sentences long. So each paragraph on your annotated bibliography at the most will be 8 sentences long. So this is really just a brief overview of your source that includes a summary, an assessment, and a reflection. And again, all of this information is included in last week's lecture. So if you have questions about what you need to include, please read through that. And again, please make sure you look at the sample annotated bibliography that I provided you last week, because it clearly outlines for you what you need to do, what you need to include, and how you need to set up your annotated bibliographies. I would encourage you that as you continue on with your college education, that if you have a paper that you need to write, even if there's not an annotated bibliography required when you're using a paper with sources, you might want to go ahead and put one together for yourself because they're super, super helpful. Okay, so that's the annotated bibliography part. Do your absolute best to set up your works cited information. I've provided you with many samples of works cited entries, and your annotated bibliographies will give me a chance to see how you're formatting your works cited entries and if you're setting them up correctly. And I'll make notations on those so that you can get those set up correctly for your final paper. A couple of other things that I want to talk about. Last week, I also included within our lecture a link to a YouTube video about integrating sources. Please make sure that you watch that video carefully. It's only about 6 or 7 minutes long, but it does a really good job of showing you how you need to integrate your sources. It also talks a lot about the use of signal phrases. So again, signal phrases are a single phrase in a group of words that provides a transition between your words and the words or ideas of your sources. It's really important to let your reader know when you're integrating a source, whether you're summarizing that source in your paper or if you're quoting directly. And a signal phrase helps set that up for your reader. Okay, since you don't have an assignment due this Wednesday, again, your annotated bibliographies are not due Wednesday, December 1st. They are due on Saturday, December 4th to the Dropbox. What I would like you to do is give us a mini progress report on how your paper is going to the discussion board. So it can be a short paragraph that just discusses what's going well, what some of your issues are. Maybe you're having some difficulty finding sources. And I'd like you to read through one another's posts because you might be able to provide some valuable information. You might live in a community and experience the same problem somebody's discussing, and you might have a suggestion for them. And I, of course, will also be reading through those and making comments. Okay, so as a quick review, your annotated bibliographies are due on Saturday, December 4th. Your summary assignments I've just started going through today, and we'll have those back to you by Tuesday so that you can look over my feedback on your summary assignments and think how to apply that feedback to your annotated bibliographies. And remember, the 2 sources that you summarized can be included in your annotated bibliography. So the 2 sources that you summarized for your summary assignment that was due the other day can be included in your annotated bibliography. So Wednesday, December 1st, you'll post a short progress report to the discussion board, how you are doing so far on paper 4. Saturday, December 4th, your annotated bibliographies with 6 sources is due. You can visit the Writing Center if you'd like assistance on that. On Wednesday, December 6th, you'll have a more formalized progress report due on this paper, and you'll find a handout under this week's lecture that tells you exactly what you need to do. So again, on Wednesday, December 6th, you'll have a mini progress report due. On Saturday, December 11th, you don't have an assignment due, but I will be available online in the afternoon. If you want to email me and ask me specific questions to your paper, I'll be available to answer any questions that you might have on Saturday, December 11th. And again, your final papers, which are going to be a 4 to 5 page persuasive essay, paper 4, is going to be due by 9 p.m. on Tuesday, December 15th. Okay. Well, I'm glad that I've made it through this short lecture without having a coughing fit. I hope that you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I know the next couple of weeks are going to be busy as you prepare for your final exams and your final assignments for your courses, so I hope everything goes smoothly. As always, please email me if you have any questions, and I hope you have a good week. Okay, thanks.